That's the big difference between someone like myself and many of these guys who are, they're tourists. Or I'll use a term that anime fans understand. You know how there's like anime tourists or whatever? These guys are politics tourists, okay? They don't have a serious worldview that they've thought about. They don't have a vision for a better future. They're just simply responding to audience feedback. The moment that Asmongold goes back to playing video games and talking about titties in video games or whatever the fuck he was doing before he started doing this pro-Trump shit is the moment that you know the grift is over, at least for this, political commentary side of things.
So if we can get another one, I will. Well, this is what their strategy is, right? Is that they want to constantly go and, they want to effectively...
Also, Destiny saying this stuff is really funny. One, because he's banned, and two, because he's utterly irrelevant. Like, let's be real. He's like, oh, why won't anybody talk to me? I don't know, man. Maybe because you got, active court case that you're dealing with where investigators have found out that you tried to procure child sexual abuse material. I feel like for me, there's a little bit of a, there's a better argument here, which for the record, I don't think Asmongold will talk to Destiny either. I don't think he'll talk to Destiny at all. And I do think that it would be productive overall if he even talked to Destiny. Let's be real. To be fair, I don't think that's the reason Asmon isn't talking to him. No, the reason why Asmongold is not talking to Destiny or myself is the same exact reason. Okay? It's the same exact reason. They don't want to, he doesn't want to have this conversation because he is genuinely terrified, like actually terrified. He can try to present this as like I'm actually coming at this from the perspective of like, I don't want to platform people or whatever. But yeah, it's because he's unqualified, and it's fine to be unqualified. I wouldn't give a shit if he wasn't spreading such hateful narratives and actually misdirecting his audience. Examples that I've used in the past, obviously, revolve around the Mahmoud Khalil incident, right? When Mahmoud Khalil was apprehended, detained, and was slated to be deported, I said there is no legal basis to do this. Asmongold farmed that incident and kept claiming over and over again, yeah, it's going to happen. Yeah, it's going to happen. I said, you're wrong. This is a First Amendment violation, clear cut through and through. If the administration actually followed through on this, this would be a severe violation of the First Amendment. And he was wrong. That's just one example. There are a million examples of this every single day, right? That's all it is. He doesn't want to look silly. He doesn't want to look like he's wrong. And that's why he'd rather talk about me to his audience instead of talking to me, where his audience can make up their own minds. It's actually also somewhat insincere. Like you're basically saying you don't trust your audience. You don't trust your own skill. You don't trust your own knowledge. And you don't really trust your audience to make up their own minds either. You have to keep it compact. And before Destiny says, oh, Hasan, you do the same thing. Brother, with the exception of talking to someone like Destiny, I do actually talk to right-wing commentators with regular frequency. You've just lied to your audience and claimed that I don't do that. I talk to right-wingers all the time. I do not shy away from the open discourse. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to talk to this right-winger right now.
Try to bully you into talking to them, so you give them a platform and allow them to spread whatever they want to say, right?
I'm trying to bully Asmongold. Yeah. He would rather debate a clip of yours as he's doing right now. Let's see what he's doing. Let's see.
So I was on Instagram, and so people are making, they said my 2026 gonna be like, and they're making fan cam edits of AI generated montages of Jeffrey Epstein out on like, ski boats on an island with a bunch of rich friends and stuff like that. And like, they're actually trying to create an aura for Jeffrey Epstein.
I think he's just farming. He must be just farming like the people that are looking for anti-Hasan clips, because he's not even talking about me in this situation. Let's see what he said before.
Jesus. Look at he is.
Look at Hasan, meat riding Asmongold over the 300th day in a row. Does it feel like the walls are closing in a little bit? Hasan says the walls are closing in for Asmongold after his Minnesota childcare coverage. Does it feel like the walls are closing in a little bit on your daddy? They're K-pop stands. At least K-pop artists are hot. You're over here standing for this creature. Yeah. Yeah. He has no argument. Yeah. That's why he just calls me ugly. When he calls me ugly, he's calling you ugly, chat. He's calling everybody ugly. He's just like that jock on your daddy.
What is this?
Look at Hasan, meat riding Asmongold over the 300th day. He and his community will cut parts of your answer and turn it to his advantage, bet. Yeah, I know. I don't give a shit. They do this every fucking day. The reality of the matter is, it is pertinent. It is up to the individual, okay? I have confidence, not only in my worldview, but I also have confidence in the minds of all these people that tune in. Eventually, for every 10 people that tune in for more Fuck Hasan content, there's going to be like 3 people that will go, let me go see this for myself. Okay? Let me go see this for myself. Calling it now, he's going to go full crybaby and point to you being bigger and stronger than him and try to turn it into you intimidating him. What? No. I think he's just going to say he has no argument. Yeah, based. Does it feel like the walls are closing in a little bit on your daddy?
Is that right?
A person that you consider to be this idealistic intellectual? Is that why you guys keep coming in here and crying? Is that what it is? That there is like maybe a fraction of the scrutiny on the shit that he says on a daily basis?
Yes.
And all of a sudden now it's like, oh, you guys, why are you paying attention to him? I don't know. Why are you so scared?
What is he talking about?
I mean, once again, if Asmongold wasn't scared, instead of trying to consistently debate clips of me that are framed in a particular way, okay, he would talk to me directly. He has the capacity, right? He follows me on Twitter. I follow him back. He can hit me up on Discord. But instead, he'll just keep going, oh, I'm just farming drama. I'm just farming you. Get farmed, idiot. That's right. It's really pissing you off, I bet. It's not. This is not the first time that I've had insane haters. Please stop playing into it. Asmon is the most competent enemy you have had because he knows the most important skill, streaming. You can't play this game, man. He needs to be discovered by mainstream media and dug out before anything happens. He can do this all day. No. No. I mean, Chatter's not wrong. Asmongold is a good streamer. That's why he was one of the biggest fucking streamers before he started doing this politics grift. Okay? Ultimately, if you're confident in your stance 100% and you call me stupid like he did, okay, you have to treat Asmongold like a lolcow. Every time someone tries to farm him, he ignores them. I mean, this isn't even a farming operation. I think we're going tit for tat here. I try to stick to actual politics. I try to stick to the actual political output here. He's the one who can't actually talk about my positions. So he either has to bastardize it to his audience and have no pushback, obviously, in this circumstance because it's a fucking clip, right? Because the clip can't dunk on him, right? But at the end of the day, the reason why I talk about this kind of stuff is, and this is silly, this is like, this is devoid of actual politics. Like this back and forth happening here with him reacting to a clip of mine is utterly devoid of politics. I want to talk about the policies. I want to talk about the politics. He wants to turn this into drama over and over again. Okay? But the reason why this still matters, the reason why this is still significant, even though people will go, why are you doing this? Who gives a fuck? The reason why this still is significant is because, I mean, look, guys, Elon Musk is highlighting Asmongold's positions, right? He's highlighting Asmongold's positions. Like, clearly, these things do have impact in terms of changing people's minds. If you don't, like, people didn't used to do this when I talked about Ben Shapiro every single fucking day when Ben Shapiro was popping, right? People don't do this when I talk about Tucker Carlson. But when it comes down to Asmongold, you get really sad and you get a little worried because you kind of understand that Asmongold's audience will consistently consistently cyberstalk both myself and even my fans and keep fucking spamming slurs and whatever the fuck, right? But like, you still have to deal with it. I mean, these guys are not going to go away. Woke is not going to make a magical comeback, okay? I think some of you basically think that this kind of stuff is just going to go away and people are going to get too annoyed with it and they're going to speak out. Someone has to have the confidence to stick their neck out. Someone has to actually lead the way, okay? It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen magically. The pendulum does not swing unless someone is actually trying to swing it back. That's it. A lot more popular and overemphasized on the internet, that it's actually a narrative that is gaining momentum or popularity still, the anti-immigrant stuff that he's doing.
It massively is. It tremendously is. If you think that the average American sees a bunch of Somalians living in $1 million house and then yelling at somebody whenever they ask if your home daycare is able to accept new people and they're speaking in a language that's not English, if you actually think that like most Americans are like, oh my God, I love this. This is so good. The only people that are doing this are circle jerkers in Hasan's orbit. Nobody else thinks this. Go to Walmart and you show this. It's just explain what's going on here. And they'll be like, whoa, what the fuck? What do you mean they're getting free childcare? Well, I got to pay for that every day. Gee.
Did he watch the same clip as us? No, that's the reason why. That's the reason why he can craft a narrative from his hug box. Okay? My point is, if the average American looks at someone like myself and looks at someone like Asmongold, who is the average American going to think is like more coherent in their worldview? Or is a more credible actor, for example, a more credible political actor, for example? Like, what pops off on the internet is not necessarily what is consistent with mainstream perspectives. Okay? Oh my God, Asmon, sadly. Sure, guys. I think a lot of you are also Twitch watchers, and that's part of the reason why you have this ridiculous opinion. There's a reason why anytime I fucking have guests on and I show them like even a fraction of a fucking Asmongold clip, they're shocked. They're horrified, not only by the things he's saying, okay, but also just the way he carries himself and the way he presents himself. There's a difference between people getting duped into believing that only Somalis are actually doing fraud in America or whatever and developing a reactionary position, which I'm trying to combat right now, versus the type of shit that he says. The average American hears someone go, these are parasitic third world, these are parasites from the third world that must be forcibly deported. Yeah, there's people who like that kind of sentiment. They're in fucking Klan rallies, okay? That's it. That's it. That kind of narrative is much more popular online than it is in the real world. That's it. Most offline people think he is a grotesque. You're saying you mock him? I mean, yes, I am saying that. It is true. I am. I'm both mogging. I'm brain maxing. I'm brain mogging him and also looks maxing and look mogging him too. The problem is whenever I say stuff like that, half jokingly, people get really up in their feelings because they're like, well, I look and think like Asmongold, so I guess you're saying that about me too. And they get really fucking hurt. They get up in their fifis. Let's see what Asmongold's doing now.
Media? Yeah, exactly. And so that's the reason, I don't know, just and it's Comcast. This is your legacy. This is your life. This is right now. Wake up, Hasan.
Yeah, you're right, brother.
Wake up.
I know. When politicians come on the stream, they're like, wow, dude. All the fucking weirdos that are spamming these memes, they really got to me. None of the guests have ever heard the Bloodwall story and have gone, oh, that's dope. This is what I mean. This is what I fucking mean. Look, argue against my positions, okay? argue against my politics and my positions. I'm willing to entertain arguing specifically against your policies and your positions. We don't have to talk about the blood wall. We don't have to talk about how you carry yourself, how you present yourself. We can simply talk about the impact that your commentary is having. But he can't do that, which is precisely the reason why he has to do this shit over and over again. That's it. And there is an audience. There is certainly an audience. There is certainly an audience that is demanding this, like, oh yeah, do more focus on content, do more focus on content. And he's just going to keep trying to farm that and then cut another YouTube video and be like, yeah, Hasan is actually really frustrated with me. Okay. You can keep doing that all day, every day. But you're fucking terrified to actually have an adult conversation with another adult who knows what they're talking about. That's it. Why would he argue about your positions if the point is to debase you and get you to endlessly stoop down to his level? I think part of the reason why you guys don't understand this kind of shit, or what the necessity for this is that, sure, we're doing a lot of like adult commentary here, but every now and then I have to address some of this stuff. And the reason why I have to address some of this stuff is because this shit works. You have to sometimes, get down to their level. Okay? I know you are brilliant and you want me to only talk about theory or only talk about the news and never actually get into the dirt. Okay? I get it. I get it. I understand. But you have to understand there's a funnel here. And more consequentially, it's not even about like what he's doing where he's like talking shit about me, but it's actually the propaganda that he's putting out where he consistently presents a one-sided narrative. You have to address it. I have to address it. Someone has to address it. Especially when he refuses to entertain any sort of disagreement. And instead of actually having, like, can you imagine when Asmongold makes a point, and it's a wrong point on another political issue that he's getting wrong. If I were to turn around and immediately just be like, oh, well, you look like you smell bad, that's it. Instead of actually addressing why he's wrong, yeah, I'd be doing what he's doing. I do both. I make those jokes as well. But also, the main function here is that I try to tackle his argument.
There are no more, like, why are you don't understand what the morals and virtues are. Never let somebody tell you what their values are. Let them reveal them to you through their actions. And that's really what's going to give you an indicator on whether somebody is doing something or not. Remember very clearly, corporations bending over backwards to the annoying, loud, mentally ill people on Twitter. I was asking it even back in the late 2000s when it started. Exactly. And so I'm a GE welder, and they had a meeting with us warning us to be careful what we said on social media. Yeah, exactly. And so that's the reason why you had woke. Woke was not a cultural phenomenon. Woke was forced on you by billion-dollar corporations in order to make you compliant with their worldviews. Because here's also the issue, is that all of the woke worldviews actually indirectly help these companies. Things like, being able to make classes of people that are non-criticizable. Like, if you can just leverage and say any trans person or any black person you're criticizing, you're being transphobic or racist against, then all a company has to do is put a trans person or a black person.
Yes, famously, people actually hire trans people exclusively so that they are devoid of scrutiny, so that people, who could forget when DuPont was dumping toxic pollutants in the fucking water? They were like, oh, we'll just hire a trans person on the board and everything will go away. That shit is so stupid. These guys cry when you make fun of white men and then talk about classes of people you can't shit on. It's so stupid. The truth here is that companies were doing DEI initiatives partially because they wanted to market themselves as tolerant at a time when, yes, people were a lot more tolerant and woke was popping, okay? For sure. It's something that I also criticized all the time, specifically like, Target Pride Month merchandise or things like that, or not criticized, but just like joked about, right? Because you can do that without actually being a hateful fucking douchebag. Woke is real because capitalism, Hasan. Are you dumb? What?
Out there, and you can't criticize the company. See, you never think about people. Never think
no
about.
No one ever criticizes companies when there are trans people working there. Famously, like one of the number one criticisms of fucking Lockheed Martin is immediately destroyed because Lockheed Martin is actually very woke and very gay, right? If that was the case, there wouldn't be an entire genre of criticism of companies, specifically around pink washing, specifically around rainbow capitalism. And not just companies either. Israel does this shit all the time. We actually dunk on Israel doing this shit all the time. It's so fucking stupid. Like, this is the reason why he can't have I rarely ever look at like his full full argument on anything, and I'm realizing this is precisely the reason why he's terrified of having a normal conversation with me, because I'll be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Technologies as tools and weapons. They only think about it as a principle, but it's whenever you create this ideology and then you weaponize it and you're able to use it to your advantage, that's whenever you're really going to come out ahead. That's what's going to happen. What company has done that? I think a lot of companies have. Look at what happened.
A chatter asks, what company has done that? A lot of them.
With Bud Light. I mean, they tried to do that. It just didn't work.
Bud Light hired a trans executive. Bud Light sent one can of beer to a trans content creator, and all hell broke loose. One can. People got one can. And it was apparently so fucking impactful that Asmongold is still talking about it. Brilliant.
Star Wars is another great example.
Yeah. American capitalism has created an environment where corporations get to basically destroy the environment, do whatever the fuck they want, and then as long as they hire one trans person, everything is forgiven because you can't criticize anybody if they have a trans person working there. And then the two immediate arguments he gives is one instance where Bud Light sent one fucking can of beer to Dylan Mulvaney, a trans TikToker, and everyone was shooting cans of Bud Light because they lost their fucking minds, and Star Wars. You really gotta be dumber than dirt to believe right-wing shit, dude. But unfortunately, the way things work currently is, people are dumber than dirt.
Another good example is The Witcher. Let me think. Besides that, Lockheed Martin, I don't know about that. So yeah,
Lockheed Martin, you don't know about that. According to the Human Rights Watch, or is it Human Rights Council? One of the two. Lockheed Martin is one of the gayest companies out there. The reason why a chatter brought up Lockheed Martin as an example is because it's one of the most common examples of rainbow capitalism that people actually shit on. Okay? Lockheed Martin's entire output is inventing new ways of murdering brown children overseas. Okay? It is a deeply unethical business. It is a firm and committed part of the military-industrial complex that dictates more and more funds be allocated to them. And that obviously plays a big role in American militarism all around the globe, right? And yet every single person shits on Lockheed Martin, and they also go so far as to shit on Lockheed Martin's like pro-gay, pro-LGBTQ initiatives, because everybody, at the end of the day, understands that none of that fucking matters.